Hello everyone, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back, and today we're going to be discussing Major Hurricane Ida, the storm that has strengthened into a Category 4 monster and is quickly approaching landfall on the Louisiana coastline. Before I get started, however, be sure to like and subscribe so this video reaches more people that definitely want to see the latest on this storm. And the 11 o'clock update has come in. I know this is the 8 o'clock map, but I just looked. Really, nothing has changed. I think pressure is around 933 millibars. I still say it's actually down in the upper 920s, but winds are still around 150 miles an hour, with winds gusting, to 185 miles an hour. Now, we could still see a landfall, maybe around the same strength or a bit stronger. Around 155 is what they're projecting for landfall. Of course, we're reading the latest updates in here, pretty much by the minute. But it's still going to be a hurricane as it comes inland through Baton Rouge. Could still be 80-mile-an-hour hurricane with winds gusting higher through 100. All right, and it's going to track through the Tennessee Valley, Southern Ohio Valley, and into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. But look at the wind field, right? It's a pretty large wind field, a couple hundred miles in diameter for tropical storm force winds. Even though strong tropical storm force winds, are coming in now, and we are seeing hurricane winds in the southeastern part of Louisiana right now. If we look here, so this is the 11 o'clock. All right, so here's the tracking cone. All right, so again, here it is, 150 mile an hour winds with winds gusting to 185. Could it get a little stronger? All right, possibly. All right, maybe, I would say it could get to 155. I don't think Cat 5 is likely at this point. I'd say it's possible, but again, at this point, like we say with a strong tropical storm and a weak Category 1 hurricane, there's no difference. There's no difference between a Cat 4 at 150 or 155 or a Cat 5 at 160. All right, but still, a very strong storm coming in through crossing Louisiana into Mississippi. And then look at this. Tracking, now the latest track, 25 miles an hour, maybe 35, so it could actually strengthen. Again, obviously it would be a mid-latitude storm by this point. As you can see how the icons are white instead of black. Obviously it's going to be a mid-latitude cyclone, but still, we could see a wind strengthening as it moves through the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. So the code really expanded there. But focusing in here, so we got a latest update to all the wind field stuff. Looks like the wind field grew even larger. Actually, I'm going to take off all of this, all the warnings, so you can see a little bit better where we're at. So Biloxi, Slidell, Gulfport, you guys are all reporting tropical storm force winds. Huma is probably getting into those 58 to 73, those strong tropical storm force winds. New Orleans, you're close to that as well, still in tropical storm force winds. Same for Morgan City. Baton Rouge, you're probably just about to get in it pretty soon. As for a place like Grand Isle, you guys are pretty much in the hurricane force winds right now. All right, at least Category 1 status. Of course, we know they're going to be much higher than that. But of course, this wind field will continue to move with the storm northward. So very large wind field that we're seeing here. All right, and if we look, let me actually refresh this one more time. So the wind probabilities, that is on another map, so I'll get that loaded. So if we look here at the storm surge, all right, this is updated from the 11 a.m. advisory. Really, not much has changed. Mobile Bay is still 3 to 5 feet. We still got 12 to 16 feet. Anywhere from Port Fortune all the way over to the mouth of the Mississippi River. So pretty much right around Grand Isle, 12 to 16 feet of surge. Lake Pontchartrain, still 5 to 8 feet of surge. And of course, on the east coast of Louisiana, all right, we could see 8 to 12 feet. I believe that was 7 to 11 feet not too long ago, so that might have went up a little bit. Morgan City to Port Fortune, 8 to 12 feet. But even so, look around Intercoastal City and, all right, Vermilion Bay, still 3 to 5 feet of surge. All right, Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge, which is, I believe is where Laura got pretty close to last year. So 1 to 3 feet of surge there is forecast. Now, tropical storm force winds, of course, we know they're going to be there, and they pretty much have arrived already. But just know that the probability is also good anywhere like this yellow area. So it is possible, all right, as we go inland Louisiana, southeastern Arkansas, central and western Mississippi, you guys have a good probability of also seeing tropical storm force winds. And hurricane force winds, of course, as we know, New Orleans is right about here. So you're above the 50-50 shot, which is why you're in the hurricane warning. All right. But of course, the higher probabilities will be just southwest of you. But again, New Orleans, you will still see hurricane conditions. All right. So if we look here, I'm just refreshing to make sure all the latest maps are in because sometimes they update pretty quickly. So this is the latest from several hours ago from the rainfall forecast. And New Orleans is right in that area of 15 to 20 inches of rainfall. And even outside of that, all right. Just west about Gulfport, all right, even outside of that zone, maybe around Morgan City, maybe west of Huma, 10 to 15 inches. Jackson, 6 to 10 inches of rain still for you guys. Same for you in Mobile, Gulfport, Biloxi. All right, and then we still see when it kind of combines with the front, the low will kind of weaken. All right, and then we re-strengthen maybe like I said earlier, like a mid-latitude cyclone once the front comes in. So we could see some more rain, 4 to 6 inches, places like Elkins and across the Ohio Valley and Northeast. So we'll be watching out for that too further on down the road. So here we have the greatest flash flood probability, and you can see we're on the high risk. Now you don't see that very often from the Weather Prediction Center, so just know this is a significant event, and that's around for New Orleans, for Grand Isle. All right, and that pretty much goes inland through Jackson. All right, Memphis could even be in the moderate threat here in Nashville, near Waverly, Tennessee, where again we had the devastating 17 inches of rain not that long ago. And we're looking here at the hurricane hunters. They're flying around. Now this was the earlier flight. There is actually a new one flying in. I'm not sure I'll be able to get to it before this video ends. I don't know if it's going to be a longer video or not. But you can see the Hurricane Hunter aircraft is flying sort of in this direction. They may make another pass, but they were in the storm for quite a long time. And pressure they found around 932. On Tropical Tidbits, if you go on their page, it says 929 millibars, so I'm not sure if they maybe found something lower. But before I refresh this, here is one observation they found. Now, the blue lines are the surface winds, but the red dots are the suspect SFMRs, meaning those need to be like validated. But you can see there's a drop in pressure, all right, right around 1410Z, and just before that, when they flew into the eye wall and then they hit the eye, that's where you had the massive increase in wind. But notice the flight level winds, when they flew into it, they dropped. All right, that means, like I said in the last video, when you have a good correlation between the red line at its lowest and the blue line at its lowest, because the blue line means flight level winds, that means that it has a good eye. It's a nice vertically stacked eye. That means that when they're flying in there, you know, they're seeing a drop in the winds, which is, of course, what you're supposed to see with the eye. Also, notice as a good sign for this organization, look at the temperature and the dew points. They pretty much go up and down in the same fashion here. Right, we saw a peak here in the temperatures. We saw a peak here in the dew points. All right, so those are also in good correlation. But I don't know if those 140 knot winds do validate. I'm not sure if they will. We also saw a rain rate jump up to near 80 millimeters an hour, which is like 3 to 4 inches an hour. Rainfall rates in that eye wall. So if these set of winds do validate, maybe it could be a Cat 5. But either way, I really don't think it's gonna be too much different. But if we refresh it, yeah. So they're pretty much flying out of the storm. Surface winds are going down as they're flying out of the storm, and pressure is going up. I'm not saying the storm is weakening. I'm just saying the hurricane hunters are flying out. We'll see if they come back in. But look at this. Look at the satellite. I mean, these things. Don't get me wrong. I love looking at them on satellite. I just don't like the damage that they cause. But I mean, the eye wall is pretty much closing in, if not hitting already, in southeastern Louisiana. You can see the eye clearly right there. I would say give it another, maybe another hour or so, and I would think we have a landfall around noon. All right. Now, since the satellite has such dark colors, I might use brighter colors. If it does go into the mouth here, there's like a little body of water. So if it can go over that, it might stay, might stay over quote unquote, open water for a little bit longer. And there also is a little bit of a lag time. So that's why, like, for example, when we saw with Claudette making landfall, it got named a tropical storm, like over land. I'm just putting an X there for an example. I don't think it was in Alabama. But it made, landfall, and it went over land, and it got a tropical storm designated because there's a lag time. So we might see a, Category 5 or at least another few miles an hour of strengthening as it makes its landfall. So we'll see about that. Because waters in this area are 87, and momentarily, if not already, it's maybe in the 88-degree waters. So we are seeing a good, plenty of fuel. All right, and you can see, honestly, in terms of the colder cloud tops, honestly, it looks like the west and northwest side. I'm not saying that like all the way over here in Louisiana, but in the immediate west and northwest side of the system, I'm seeing deeper convection. Now, the wind speeds could still be stronger on the east side. All right, don't get me wrong. There's still plenty of convection on the east side, too, as well. The storm is very symmetrical, very well formed. And these bands off to the north and east are really getting themselves together. A place like Mobile and Biloxi, and even Pensacola, too. So very, very organized-looking system here. All right, if we look at the visible imagery, again, it's a little easier to see the eye on the infrared, but I just like looking at the visible imagery so much better. You can see the eye. It looks like it's closing up, but you saw on the infrared, it's still a pretty open eye, clear as day to see. You can see the overshooting cloud tops even on the bands. You can even see the convection that continues to develop right around the eye, right like in here. All right, so we'll see. It just makes a little jog to the west. It'll probably make its landfall either kind of like at this point right here, or if it goes into a little inlet in the bay, it might make a landfall right about here. But either way, in this general zone will be its landfall. I mean, no doubt about it at this point. I mean, we could say for 100% confidence that landfall is going to be right here. But New Orleans, again, it's going to get very close to you. All right. And even if it doesn't, you're still on the east side. All right. Look at the, so like I said, look at the eye wall. All right. So the east side is where we see the heaviest rain associated with that eye wall. And even a second eye wall, like almost looks like one, is trying to form. I'm not saying there's a second eye, but a band of rain that looks pretty similar to the eye wall, all right, is trying to develop. So we could see like two eye walls closing in here. And you can see, so this is like, you know, eye wall number 1, and then this is eye wall number 2 almost in here. So, and this is National Weather Service radar. I have to have it on a still image because sometimes it moves. For some reason, like I like their old radar so much better. Please bring it back. But it was a little glitchy when it's trying to move. So I'm just keeping it on a still image. But you can see Pensacola, Mobile, we got, like look at Panama City's even getting some bands. Like look at these bands here closer to Apalachicola even. So bands are going well outside of the storm center to the east. All right, like we see bands on like all these black lines here are all bands that are well outside of the center. All right, even though the core of it is right here. So don't think that just because you're in Alabama or Florida, well, Panhandle, Florida, that you're not avoiding this. Or that you are avoiding it because you're not avoiding it, really. If we look at the wind threat, these are the maximum wind potential. So in the yellow is where we have the possibility of seeing winds at some point getting the tropical storm force, and that goes well inland. All right. The orange threat is where we could see winds get into the strong tropical storm category, maybe 58 to 73 miles an hour. And the red and purples are those hurricane force winds. Red is like category 1, and purple is category 2 or higher. All right, meaning probably going to be a lot higher. If we look here, if we zoom in, Baton Rouge, all right, New Orleans, Morgan City, and Huma and Grand Isle, those are the 5 places that are going to be seeing those category 2 plus winds, maybe even higher than that. All right. So there is going to be a southerly push. And of course, we know New Orleans has the levee system, but on the north side of Lake Pontchartrain, maybe not the south side, because it's going to continuously be an onshore flow. As the storm kind of moves in this way, the winds are coming in from this direction. So waters will be on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, but still in New Orleans. I mean, you could still have a surge threat, but I know the levee system is pretty good there. But even that, the levee system does not protect you from the fresh water flooding. 15 to 20 inches of it possible. All right, and the wind blowing that around. Like, I mean, for as strong as these winds are getting, the fact that the storm is really not on shore yet, or not, I mean, it's close, but it's not really that close. And we're seeing extreme wind warnings going up for the coast of Louisiana, winds like exceeding 110 already in some areas. Like I saw a gust report to 110 somewhere in southeast Louisiana, and just wait till the core of the storm comes in. All right, on the National Hurricane Center track map, actually, if we go back and look at this again, it says winds are gusting to 185 miles per hour right now. All right, again, that won't be constant, but that's a wind gust. And probably I saw like if it does strengthen a few more miles an hour, we could see wind gust to 190. But like that is like absolutely just catastrophic damage. All right, like this is like almost like pressure like getting almost down to Hurricane Wilma level. Like this is by far, this is not our first major hurricane for the Atlantic hurricane season, because Grace, I know because of Henri, Grace didn't get much attention, but Grace was a major hurricane in a second landfall, all right? But this is the first major hurricane to strike the United States, but not the first major hurricane this year. All right, so if we look here at the surge threat, all right? Again, look how far inland it goes. And now it's, if this is the National Weather Service, all right, the map, you can see it's just outside of New Orleans because, again, you guys are protected with the levee system. But still, if you're in New Orleans in your neighborhood just south of there, all right, you can see the surge goes well in there. Like all the bodies of water here, I still think New Orleans could see, some flooding. I mean, I know the levee system is very good, but again, even that can only have such a limitation. All right, but even, again, just the 15 to 20 inches of rain by itself is not a good thing. And then the wind on top of that. But surge, this is purple area. If you don't believe me, I'll show you the key. 9 feet plus. All right, actually, the key is not there. That is weird. But the purple does represent, all right, very strong storm surge. Usually the key is like down here. I don't know why it's not there now. But the purple is 9+ feet of surge here. We could see in some areas, and the red is like, I think 6 to 9, and orange is like 3 to 6. All right, so there's the wind. Oh, see, now it's there. So there's the wind threat. Let's see. This is surge threat. Okay, there it is. So purple is, again, greater than 9 feet above ground, normally dry ground. And the flooding rain threat, extreme flooding rains, okay, for New Orleans, for Slidell, even Gulfport, Baton Rouge, Morgan City, Huma, Grand Isle, and a partridge in a pear tree. Okay, the list goes on. Lake Pontchartrain, of course, we're going to see some heavy rainfall on top of Lake Pontchartrain, and then the surge coming off of Lake Pontchartrain. So if you live on the North Shore, all right, I don't know really any major places besides Slidell that are on the North Shore of the lake. All right, but obviously there are definitely a few places like Covington, Hammond, of course, all right, that do live on the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain. So you're going to see a southern flow, all right, like this. So Slidell definitely could be in the worst of it for some of the surge. I still think Grand Isle could see the worst surge, but Lake Pontchartrain could be very active. So let's look at the winds. All right, I'm kind of using the wind gust map. Let me actually flip this over to miles per hour. There we go. So, all right, now these do say wind gust, but windy.com, like if I go to the sustained wind graphic, it does underdo it a little bit. So I like to go to the wind gust map because that actually tells us what the real sustained winds are. Like I'm picking up 130, like that's a lot more accurate. All right, but let's go out to the let's go to Lake Pontchartrain. All right, so we're having a northeast kind of flow because the low is still off to your south. That's how the wind flow around it works. All right, now you're going to notice, all right, we're on the European model, but as the low moves inland, by the way, this yellow is the core of 100-mile-an-hour winds plus, whether that be in the form of sustained winds or gust. I just switched it to gust because the sustained winds were underdone a little bit. All right, but you can see the core of 100-mile-an-hour winds coming through Huma, all right, right around 8 o'clock p.m. And you can see by this point, look at Lake Pontchartrain really going at it, like so the west shores of the lake. And I believe the lake to the west of it, I forget, can't remember by name. Yeah, Lake Marpas. I'm sorry if I butchered that one, but that lake also, the one west of Pontchartrain, could also be very active as well. All right, and now what you're going to see is the low move inland. We still got 80, 90 plus winds. And you're going to see the winds coming out of the south, so that's when the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain really gets its surge. So Slidell, Hammond, all right, you guys are all going to get it as well. But still, this is why storms that come in on this angle are so bad. You're still going to have for Port Sulphur, for Grand Isle, Morgan City, Huma, you're still going to have such a strong wind. The onshore flow will still be there. All right, it's already pretty much starting like right now, all right, and it won't stop. All right, it won't stop anytime soon. All right, we're now at Monday evening. We still got winds of 30 miles an hour plus, all right, in terms of the onshore flow. It's even stronger a little bit for Biloxi, over 34-mile-an-hour winds, all right? And look, the onshore flow is still there, all right? This is Tuesday morning. We still have some sort of onshore flow. That is not a good thing. We want the winds to turn offshore or at least lighten up, right? And they will lighten up Tuesday, but Sunday, Monday, you're still going to have the onshore flow, all right? So that's going to be the concerning thing with this system. Is of course because the onshore flow and the flooding. Here's the high resolution model. Now they're predicting a landfall around 12 to 1 p.m. or so, and then moving all right to the north. And we got some bands here. You can see one band here. So a lot of destructive bands could be forming to the east of the system. All right, let's go to the. We got a couple models to look at before we go here. So GFS, you can see tracking through. All right, New Orleans, pretty much right. Like the models are putting New Orleans right in that eastern eye wall. All right, so that's very concerning there for New Orleans. All right, and then tracking to the north and east through the mid-Atlantic states. Total rainfall for the next 5 days. You can see that's your core of 6 inches plus, but I can assure you in those yellow areas, whether New Orleans or just east, according to the GFS model, rainfall totals are well over a foot there. So don't be surprised if by end of this, by the time it's all said and done, there will definitely be a spot that picks up around 18 inches of rain for sure, at least in one area. Our GEM model, you can see there's the core of the system right there, and pretty much right on, if not just west of New Orleans. All right, and then pretty much, but look at this. So we got rain continuing through Alabama, but then we see a tail kind of forming with it because this is going to remain still a decently strong system over land. All right, so you can see the tail that's forming here. All right, and it's going to move off to the north and east. And look at this, the tail is still there. So we'll see if it can develop like a frontal boundary over Florida, Louisiana. All right, that could be a very concerning issue as well. And if we look at the rainfall threat here, again, 6 to 10 plus, but again, over southeastern Louisiana, Mississippi, and over a foot of rain, over 14 plus. And the fact that this is hitting on the same day as Katrina 16 years ago is really kind of disturbing. All right, if we look at so I believe this Hurricane Hunter aircraft is actually finished. So I think they're finished with their observations. But one more look here. We're going to get a look at the next flight here. So they're not quite into the system yet, but I'll be giving those updates in the community tab as well. So be sure to stay posted on there. Alright, so thank you for watching today's video. I am the Weather Dude signing off. Till next time, stay safe out there, everybody, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.